You're listening to the Renegade Blitz, the best podcast for Steelers fans by Steelers fans. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at RBlitzPod, and at Blitz Videos. Read articles on RenegadeBlitz.com, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app.
Welcome back to the Renegade Blitz. I'm Ty Polk with Chris Ward and Brandon Walker. We're going to recap the Steelers versus Colts 24-17 victory and also do, a rudimentary preview of Steelers versus Falcons. And all in all, Steelers win. And that's always a good thing. They now moved themselves out of the top 10. I seen from Josh Roundtree, it's now a 12th overall pick with this victory over the Colts. And look, you want the Steelers, no matter what, even if they're in a down year, to beat the teams that they should. And they should and did beat the Colts. I want to get your thoughts first, Chris. We'll start with you first because usually we've been doing it with Brandon, but you know you've been also watching this game as well. So your initial thoughts on this Steelers victory over the Colts?
Like you said, win's a win pretty much. It wasn't pretty. They had a terrible third quarter there. I couldn't believe they gave up that long. I think it was an 89-yard kickoff return coming out at halftime. That was it. Cam Sutton went off sides too. That kept the drive alive. Well, it ended up being a fumble or Jonathan Taylor. So it was a sloppy game, both sides. But Kenny Pickett, I thought he looked good. Best game so far. He should have had a touchdown pass. It wasn't his fault though. Deontay Johnson should have came up with that grab. But everything else, you'd like to see a little bit more yards. But there's a couple of drops there. He had a couple off-target passes. He didn't see that hot read that one time on a blitz, and he took a sack. So, you're still dealing with some of those growing pains, but you expect that with a rookie quarterback. But it's just good to see that he's progressing and everything, and that's what you want to see from him.
Kenny Pickett played his best game with him. They say he was the league's best quarterback in week 12, according to Pro Football Focus, which for whatever the hell that's worth. But
I don't know about that. I know I think he played well, but I watched Trevor Lawrence in that fourth quarter.
He had a higher rating than all of them.
Jalen Hurts had a big game too. But
what is that way? He had a good game. Impressive. That was the first time I was actually impressed with him. Pickens should have caught that ball. Steelers, Jonathan Taylor fumbled the ball, had a fumble. They survived that. It was basically two bad teams playing against each other, and the team with the better coach won. If he didn't beat Jeff Saturday, then because we would have to consider some things.
Yeah, that's a game planning, and that's just having the better coach. That's a coaching victory for the Steelers in this case. But yeah, I want to talk about Pickett because you guys mentioned it with Hurts and of course Trevor Lawrence. Now people are starting to see that you have to give these quarterbacks time. I think you've seen a lot of it with Justin Fields. And then, of course, Jalen Hurts beginning this year with the Philadelphia Eagles, Tua Tagovailoa, and how when you surround a quarterback with good players and mainly a coach that believes in them, look what happens. There's growth. It's not immediate growth, but you're seeing something that in their second year, they're finally making something happen, second or third year, whatever. So in the end, I like the fact that Pickett, at least even with the detractors that people have seen around here and people that are being fair, he's getting a better shake over the last 3 weeks. And I think that's all that matters. You just want a quarterback that you can go, you know what? That's a guy that we have on our, and I'll roll with that. Do you agree, Brandon?
I do agree. It's like my thing is for the next 3 to 5 years, is he going to be better than Deshaun Watson, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. That's the question that it is. That's the quarterback he plays. And say if the Steelers played like the quarterbacks in the AFC South, I would have no issue. Or I'd say whatever division, right? This is the AFC North. They got 3 potentially top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. And right now, the Steelers are at 4 at the most important position on the field, no matter how you slice it. Yeah. So the thing is, if you could get Pickett to be ascend above one of those players, maybe 2 of them, depends on what we see in Lamar Jackson, then we'll see the growth of the Steelers themselves, because I still think because of that reason, this is going to be a couple-year thing that they're going to be in this purgatory type situation.
Yeah, let's talk about that with the entire division. I think everyone, us all included, would love a situation that's like the AFC West, in which you find out that one guy is not exactly that guy. And I guess for lack of a better term, I think a lot of Steelers fans, for reasons that are both football related and non-football related, are looking at Deshaun Watson like it's lunchtime, to steal a term from Eminem. So, I think when you take a look around in the league, you just want a guy that's out there that can be viable. You don't want a guy that's out there doing whatever Russell Wilson's doing right now, because that's not a quarterback.
Broncos country.
That's not a quarterback that's not Super Bowl winning. That's not even better than what they had in Drew Lock. That's just awful by any stretch.
And you're paying them $180 million.
That's even
Broncos country. They tried. Bronco country.
And you know something that
Broncos country. We suck.
Something that's really country is
it's bad.
The Steelers, they've gotten that run game going. The offensive line's looking a lot better. Pass protection, there's still Dan Moore struggles. Still, Chooks is not much better. But, it's good to see them getting that run game. Anthony McFarland really stepped up. Benny Snell was really surprised me. Like, I almost fell out of my chair when I saw him going, picking up, big gains and everything. So, good for them. And Najee went out with the injury too. Jalen Warren's expected to come back this week. So what do you guys think about that? What do you think about Snell and McFarland really stepping up there, and the offensive line run blocking really doing well?
Ooh, what do I think of it? I thought it was impressive. They were hitting the hole. I think they were hungry. They wanted their opportunities to play. I think McFarland was just happy just to be on the field to see time again. And Snell, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, you fail to game plan for these guys that ain't supposed to be on the field. Sometimes that happens. Like, sometimes they will shock you once in a while. As far as the offensive line is concerned, yeah, the offensive line still struggles with the passion, but the run blocking has improved vastly in the past few weeks. And I'm liking Daniels at right. He's probably the only person I would probably keep. In Dotson, I would probably keep. The guards I like.
Cole's center. He's been doing better than early in the season, I thought.
He's improved.
Yeah.
Starting to get.
They really need, they need an elite left tackle. He's a 4th round pick, and he just hasn't shown that anything that he's going to be like a long-term solution there.
You want to know what I think is the biggest key for the entire Steelers offensive line? It's largely been health. Have these guys been on the injury report?
Wow, yeah. I don't think any of them missed any game. I mean, I know they had a couple, Cole had a foot injury. But yeah, they've really been healthy. I don't know if any of them actually sat out a game.
Yeah, I mean, that's one big thing. You want continuity with the offensive line, even if you don't think that the left tackle situation is great. And I think it could be better. I think they can find an upgraded right tackle, me personally. But I mean, the interior offensive line, that's the big key right there. You just don't want straightaway pressure. You can handle pressure coming off the edge because then you're just asking a quarterback like Kenny Pickett to either evade it to the opposite end or step up in the pocket. I think that's what every quarterback in this league will take in any situation. But credit to the offensive line, and you gotta love the fact that the Steelers can finally get away from that dreaded jet sweep. I think
they've not read it.
That you want that. Anything in that situation, you could keep the jet sweep fakes in there for all you want, but anytime that you want just a dive or a slam up the middle, I'll take that every day of the week now.
Yeah. And I think they only did it once, and it was in the shotgun to Gunner, I think. But I know they didn't do any under center because every game before
they only ran that tight end thing one time.
Yeah,
tight end screen, shovel pass.
That Gentry stuff, I don't get at all. I like to see them running, some more power runs, the offensive line, getting up to the second level and everything, and running backs hitting the hole. I know some like Najee, he had a good, a nice touchdown run the week before. So, Najee's starting to get going too, but he's beat up right now. He's dealing with that, I think, oblique injury right now. So we'll have to see if he plays. I think he's been out for the 2 practices so far this week. So we'll have to see. Jalen Warren's going to be back. So, that duo of McFarland, Snell, Warren against Atlanta. We'll get to Atlanta, but continue with the offense. Brandon, you said that you had some. You said that you weren't really too impressed with Deontay Johnson and his production.
No, I don't care if he's open. You would have dropped the pass anyway, so it didn't matter. Deontay is a cancer. He is.
Yeah,
he got Mr. Trubisky benched. Hold on. He I don't like it. His attitude is crappy after games. He goes after these ex-Steelers. He's stealing money for the Steelers anyway. He robbed them, bamboozled them. Deontay, I already told you what you needed to do, but we edited it out. See a sports psychologist. Get your head right. I'm getting tired of you.
No, that's the clean version of what. That's the clean version that I'll take. There was another thing that you had in there that I just couldn't include for any podcast, really. But yeah, I'm going to play devil's advocate. The one. Everyone was calling it a drop, but I thought it got broken up.
I thought so too, but after
but how do you explain him running backwards?
Yeah, that's another thing.
I can't explain that. I've always look, man. Anytime that I played football in the backyard, no matter what, it was going north. He needs to get a Juju Smith-Schuster mentality in which no matter what, we're not going east and west and we're not going south. We're going north, no matter what. Because you don't have to be the most shifty player in the room. You just have to be a guy that's just getting more yards and is not purposely trying to make a mountain out of a molehill, man. That's all I want from this guy. But you are right, Brandon. He has Speckeldorf the Steelers out of money in so many ways. It's frustrating because everybody's going like your number one receiver has no touchdowns, and I'm sorry, but I've kind of been ever since we've been putting him as him from the beginning. George Pickens is the number one, and I did not have a Powerpuff Girls meme this week, Chris.
I know. I was looking for it when he had that nice grab down the
He's going to do something.
He's got to start catching the ball. He needs to – his hands got to be – he needs to cut down on the drops, though. He did drop that touchdown pass.
I know Deontay Johnson, he was getting a lot of, he said all the right things. He did say he was having a great year, but the stats weren't there. And there was a picture of him consoling Pickens, who was really frustrated during the game. So all that stuff, is very credible and honor worthy, and being a good teammate. Not really caring about stats, he's saying, but he's got to show the production. He's making $18 million per year. I know people on Twitter saying, "Oh, that's That's not a lot. That's still a lot of money. He was making like $2 million before. He went up. He might not be getting like over 20, but and it's only a 2-year contract. So like the Steelers, they still the sense of it is that they gave him that contract because he was unhappy with he thought he outperformed and everything. I don't think they should have gave it to him. The Steelers are always tough giving a receiver a contract, but I mean, you could blame Pickett, Trubisky, Matt Canada, but he leads the league in targets without a touchdown. He has 92 targets and no touchdowns. So I think that, a little bit – he should have had one on Monday night. So I usually like to see more from Johnson. But, he's doing all the right things. He's being a good teammate and stuff. So, that's good. But I would like to see a touchdown on Sunday, especially against the Falcons who, haven't been really good in the secondary.
I mean, when you talk about at least with Atlanta, just taking a little bit of it, it's a bottom tier defense. So you are expecting this to be, if it's not here, it better be Carolina for Deontay Johnson. So, but Ron Wilkes has them believing out there as well. So it might be tougher said than done, but yeah.
It's like crazy. Like, how do you guys feel about the Falcons? I think. What's the line for this game?
It was 1.5. The Steelers were underdogs.
No, that's not.
That was a couple days ago. I don't know what it is now, though.
Look, the Falcons do have a better than league average offense in terms of points per game. They are 14th at 22.7. But the Steelers over the last 2 weeks have been able to eclipse that. Just doing 54 divided by 2. That's 27. That's 27. So
yeah, 27
I'm not a data journalist. I'm just a regular journalist. But
that's still pretty good. The Steelers, because the Falcons, who do they have on defense? I'm about to check them out.
I think they have an 8 with Terrell, the cornerback.
AJ Terrell. They have Grady Jarrett. Can't name any of the linebackers, I don't think. Because
I was thinking about a couple of days. I was like, I think it might be yesterday, but like the Falcons, like it feels like no one talks about it. It feels like they're the most random team in the NFL. Like, do you guys agree with that?
It's been that way.
Yeah, because they got Cordell Patterson that were running back, Drake London. I know he's on my fantasy team.
Kyle Pitts is out, so he's not playing in this game.
Nope.
But Chris, for lack of a better term, it's kind of all outside of the years with Michael Vick and of course the little bit of the heyday with Matt Ryan and the rest of it. That's kind of always been the Falcons' MO. They've always been a team that's been more there than anything else.
Yeah, it's like I was thinking other teams.
They're so random. Like they're like
because if you're
why are they
3? Yeah, even their Super Bowl appearences, and I talk about random because everybody knows that John Elway won 2 Super Bowls. Nobody really remembers it's the Falcons that he got the second one from. And then everyone remembers the 28-3, but that was a random thing ever.
It was random. It was a random. It was like the random team that played. That even the Super Bowl, because you would have just say, "What, the Falcons? Huh? How did that happen?" I mean, they had a great offense, but yeah, this team is that the Steelers. These Falcon team is Falcony. And that's why I'm picking the Steelers to win this game because the Falcons are going to be Falcony.
I will say this. I will say this. There's one thing that you have to look out for with the Falcons. This is a team that can run the ball. They are 4th in rushing yards per game with 160 per game. So this is a team that can run the ball. The problem is their defense can't really do anything. It's sort of like an inverted Steelers in which it's the offense that carries them opposed to the defense. When you look at it, opponents rush per play, basic rushing yards per game. Excuse me, they're 21st in the league.
They got Marcus Mariota has I'm checking his stats. 14
For the
touchdowns.
record, I'm on team rankings. If you're looking for this, this is the quickest way that I can find everything about this team.
Is Cordero Patterson actually their running back?
Yes.
Yeah, he just put number 84. It's a situation. It's like Devin Hester. He came into the league as a wide receiver, and he kind of does the poor man Deebo Samuel thing.
Yeah, he
was Deebo before Deebo. Really,
yeah, they're going to have to watch him in special teams. Patterson, he's one of the best returners ever, really NFL history.
Yeah,
and Danny Smith,
he's 31. No, I don't think he returned. Yeah, he does, but their primary punt returner and kick returner is Avery Williams.
No, that doesn't.
Mariota's been awful for them this year. Just writing some stuff into things when they're facing other AFC North teams. Just his stat lines are always. They run the ball a lot with him, I think, or he's
he's always been a running quarterback, which was the thing. I put it to you like this: Mariota is the definition of what I like to call bust. He's more. I feel with him, he's more of a bust than Trubisky because he actually did stuff in college, and for a while I hyped him up.
Yeah, because I was like, there was no real. If you really came out of the draft, you'd be like, how in God's name did Mitch Trubisky got drafted over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes? Because if you really saw Patrick Mahomes in college and paid attention, you'd be like, oh, he might do some things in the league.
Dude could throw any. Like I understand when you look at Mason Rudolph and you say typical Big 12 quarterback, you could see with Mahomes that he was something different. But with Mariota, to get back onto him, he's basically what you wanted. It was Mariota and Jameis. Yeah, that they actually did really well as they hold some rookie records. Actually, the last time I checked. So with it, they had good starts, but since then it's been less than desirable.
It's been mid.
Yeah, you actually have a very good point with him because Mariota did win a playoff game. It got deflected to him and he caught it himself and ran it in. He was the last quarterback to beat the Chiefs before the Mahomes run. So yeah. But taking a look at it, I mean, this really feels like the game, at least for Kenny Pickett. They could do something with it. Opponents' completion percentage 27th in the league. Opponents' yards per pass 7.3, 27th in the league. Passing yards per game 255.6. And the Falcons don't sack anyone. They really don't sack anyone at 3.86% of a sack percentage. That is dead last in the NFL.
Looking at these, like for real, I honestly can't. I can only name like two people that I know by heart on this defense that are AJ Terrell, Grady Jarrett, and Arnold Bedeke because he went to Penn State. That's the only reason why I know who he is. Him.
Yeah.
It's bad.
It's not an impressive roster just looking on paper. I think the Steelers should win. I mean, the only thing that might is they're coming off a short week and it's a second road game in a row. But I think they're starting to figure things out in offense and everything. So I do like the Steelers. I think it's going to be close. I can't really see the Steelers blowing them out. I think, but I'll say the Steelers win 27-20.
All right.
I'll put it to you like this with the Steelers. They have Desmond Ridder, who was the quarterback that everyone kind of flip-flopped around here in the third round. The Atlanta Falcons are basically the inverted version of the Steelers if they decided we're not going to let Kenny Pickett play. This is what the Steelers would be, really, in terms of it. If the offense at least had somewhat better weaponry that around there, because I like Cordero Patterson. He's very mobile, and of course, he's a mover. He's a moving piece that you can use. Pitts is hurt, but I formally expect this. This might be at least a game that the Steelers have. I penciled this in as the offensive breakout game for the Steelers. It's really the rest of the NFC South because they beat the one team that's ahead of everybody in the NFC South. But though every other week it seems like Tampa doesn't know what they are. So I'm going to actually have a ton of confidence in this Steelers offense. I'm going to say they put up 30 to the Falcons 17.
Wow.
All right, it's up to me, the reporter. But here it is. The Steelers actually found something. I think they found something. Maybe, perhaps, they could keep Canada around.
Oh, yeah, I saw people talking. I think Phil Pony put that out. It's like I said, if they put up like 20+ points, the rest
They'll put up. I'm gonna say they put up 31 points. Falcons 20.
Okay.
Because the Falcons are going to throw a pick six because Mariota is Mariota, and it's going to be a touchdown, like probably later in the game. But I think it's going to be tight for most of the game. But then again, whenever we pick the Steelers. All of us unanimously pick the Steelers. What could go wrong?
Everything.
Yeah.
Like Tomlin. And Tomlin, I trust. I was losing faith in him. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Even the Falcons head coach, like Arthur Smith, like they just don't really have an appealing. Like I was trying to think, like anybody, if a team's really bad, they're still talked. Like for the Colts, like they're pretty bad. You know, Matt Ryan, that's another thing. Man, how bad did he look on Monday night?
Yeah, he's washed, bro. He's washed, man.
He's never been I mean, for a guy that threw a touchdown on his first professional pass, I think that was one of his like bigger moments that people still hark on with Matt Ryan, and that was
like he has had
all the way back in 2008.
Well,
he's had a solid career, but the way that Cameron Jordan felt about Ben Roethlisberger is how I feel about Matt Ryan. I mean, solid to good player. Never felt that he was great, and he's really going to look back and go, man, I really should have had that Super Bowl because it would have changed everything with him.
Oh,
he's the most he and I put it nicely with it because I like him somewhat. He's the most mid MVP that I've ever seen, and that offense was actually pretty good.
I was getting ready to ask. I'm guessing that's your answer, Chris. Because we talked about it. We joked around. I was like, since now I think his career, he needs to go, retire, go along with his life's work after this year. Do you think he's a Hall of Famer? Because his numbers are up there.
No, I don't think so. I would say no.
He'll sneak in. He'll sneak in like 2052 if he gets in. But
he'll be a veterans. He'll be a veterans committee Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
What about this Matt Ryan guy?
I mean, I will say this: he hung around in an era he hung around there as a top 12 quarterback in this league for a very long time.
Yeah,
I give him that. But there's never really been anything that made me go that Matt Ryan was the parts around him opposed to some guy. You know what I mean?
You know what? Yeah, you know what? He's always, when he was great, he had Michael Turner. Since we're talking about the Falcons, we're talking about the older Falcon teams are better than talking about these Falcons. So what the hell? For real, like
Julio.
You had Michael Turner, you had Roddy White, then you had Julio Jones, Michael Jenkins, they had Tony Gonzalez, then you had Sanu, who was their tight end? Hooper.
Their tight
yeah,
end.
he's always had Devontae Freeman. Yeah, Steven Jackson. He's always had like good skill position players around him. a rock solid offensive line when he was good. Like the team, his skill positions always made him look a little bit better than he actually was. Made him look better than he really was.
And you want to know something? I think that would be. I think you always talk about Kirk Cousins plus. I'd rather Kenny Pickett be Matt Ryan plus, because Matt Ryan plus at least gets you something in there. Matt Ryan plus gets you to a Super Bowl, and if your defense,
Matt Ryan plus wins you a Super Bowl.
True.
Matt Ryan plus wouldn't blow a 28-3 lead.
Speaking of old Falcons, I saw a clip, and I was thinking about it earlier this week. But I like bringing up old games of the Steelers in history. Remember that?
Talking about the tie, aren't you?
Yeah.
That was really one of the more exciting ties that you'll see in NFL history. I knew exactly where you were going with it.
Yeah, Plexico Burrows had a huge game for the Steelers. I was 8 at the time. So Brandon, were you 15? You probably remember that.
15. Yeah, I remember that tie. Yeah. Michael Vick just came back on him, and us like it was crazy. You know what? They always had. You know what? They had a good game in like 2010 too. The year that opener.
Had the walk-off run for a touchdown, and now he's totally lost his mind. But
let's be okay. Who else? They've had some pretty decent games here.
It's always been entertaining, Steelers versus Falcons, no matter what.
That's not the last time they played at Heinz Field, but
yeah, they played another time, I believe.
But speaking of people who have lost their minds, we remiss to be on a Steelers podcast to talk about an ex-Steeler. I don't know what you want to call him.
We're not going to talk about Mr. Big Chest.
Yes, we are.
We're not.
We got to talk about it. We got to do it.
That man. I don't know what's up with him.
What do you think?
I don't know.
Chris, I'll talk about, but I have kind of the same thought with Ty. I tweeted a couple times about it today, but I'm kind of like so done with like. I hope everything works out. He
literally makes it. He's like Kanye for me. He makes it so hard for me to look back at him at times and go, this was the guy that shaped at least the back end of my formative years as a person. Like this was Kanye was basically life for me, but he really was at one point. And when I listen to his old albums, that's how it is, and that's how I feel with Antonio Brown. Why do you keep on doing this? Why? What's the end game here?
Look,
if anyone ever tries to tell me that Terrell Owens was ever a distraction, I point right at this guy. Because what Terrell did compared to that guy is real. It's not even kindergarten. It's not even preschool. It's nursery.
Like, plus you talk about Odell. Like, Odell ain't never break no laws. Who else? They talked about Chad Johnson's a bad example.
No, Chad Johnson's a good example because literally his career ended whenever he got into that domestic violence situation.
Yeah, it did.
It really did. He was granted he was coming off of that just Y term in New England, but not everyone's going to be Randy Moss. I still think that there was something with him that could have been a few more solid years that could have at least gave him an opportunity to make that gold jacket that he was wearing at least somewhat.
He could have had if he had a few more years. He bounced back when he was with Miami. He could have had a couple more solid years, get them stats up. Obviously, he can't make the Hall of Fame now. He's not.
He'll be a Hall of Famer in my mind. He's still. I say this as a.
He is, but they're not going to get it.
He's my favorite wide receiver of the 2000s, and I say this as a Steelers fan.
I'm talking about Antonio Brown.
Well, but with Antonio Brown, he's my favorite wide receiver of the 2010s. Then,
well, he's not going to make the Hall of Fame.
We'll cover more of the ballot of Antonio Brown as more comes through. Wish him through it all. I wish him nothing but the best, but the best doesn't look like it's on coming around that corner for him. But we'll end this podcast hopefully on a happier note with it. Can't wait to see Steelers versus Falcons Sunday. That's all for us. For Chris Ward and Brandon Walker, I'm Ty Polk. Thank you for tuning in to the Renegade Blitz.
Thank you for listening to the Renegade Blitz podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Renegade Blitz, at @RBlitzPod, and at Blitz Videos. Read articles on RenegadeBlitz.com. Like us on Facebook and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app. The Renegade Blitz podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and wherever else you can listen to podcasts.